The NBA Cup final ended with the Spurs falling to the Knicks. Right as the second half began, the broadcast cut to Victor Wembanyama on the Spurs bench. His eyes were closed, his hands clasped together, looking like he was praying. You could clearly see how heavy his emotions were. A lot of people probably thought he was just meditating in that moment. But more likely, he was trying to process his grief, trying to steady himself after losing a loved one. At the post-game press conference, Wembanyama sat there with red, teary eyes, silent for a long time before speaking. Then, choking up, he said that he had lost a family member earlier that day.
Sorry, just I lost somebody today. I'll take one more question. So,
Vic, what can you guys learn from this experience? A game that counts but doesn't, being on this stage, where will this team grow from this?
I guess it's the best practice for important games, because it's of course our focus is already on the playoffs, and it's the biggest time. Playoffs are going to be the biggest time of the year, so I guess it's good that we got this experience today. Thank you.
It's hard to imagine how difficult it must be for a 21-year-old to go through a personal loss and still have to play such a high-stakes game. Yet he still chose to suit up and gave everything he had to help his team. Maybe Wembanyama just wanted his grandma watching from above to still feel proud of him. That alone is enough to earn respect. Before the game, he had even personally bought flights and tickets for a Spurs superfan group called the Jackals, arranging for 50 fans to fly to Las Vegas and watch the game in person. For Wembanyama, this has unquestionably been a year full of challenges. Around February 20th, 2025, Wembanyama was diagnosed with a deep vein thrombosis in his right shoulder, which directly ruled him out for the remainder of the 2024-25 season. Later in an interview, he said, "When they told me about the blood clot, I completely broke down. I cried for about 5 minutes. It really made me realize how fragile life and health are. At that moment, all I could think about was the impact on my life. I wasn't even thinking about basketball anymore. Basketball suddenly wasn't the priority." When you're forced to react quickly in a situation like that, you have to make decisions, and you worry whether you're making the right ones. When asked if he was afraid he might not be able to keep playing, Wembanyama answered, "Yes, but that fear wasn't really based on facts. I needed time to find myself again and focus on rehab. I spent the entire summer working on it, and I believe this will leave a deep mark on the rest of my career. Life is short, a career is short, and it can all stop at any moment, so there's no time to waste." This season, he also missed 12 games due to a calf injury. Now, just 2 games after returning, he had to deal with the loss of a family member. Hopefully, Wembanyama can find peace and move through this difficult time. Wembanyama wasn't crying because of the loss, but because the grandmother he loved most had passed away back in France. That's why we saw a Wembanyama who looked distracted on both ends of the floor, on offense and defense. The Knicks celebrated wildly as champions. On the other end of the court, Wembanyama's figure looked lonely and quiet. This is what competitive sports do. They put 2 completely opposite emotions on full display. Even though the Knicks won the NBA Cup, it's still just 1 game in a long season. For 21-year-old Wembanyama, this was simply 1 loss, and his future still holds endless possibilities. Sports are both cruel and beautiful, and failure is often the most common theme in life. Chris Paul spent his entire career chasing a championship, never expecting it to end the way it did. In the 2015-16 season, the Warriors went 73-9, and Stephen Curry won MVP unanimously. Yet after leading 3-1 in the finals, they suffered one of the most shocking collapses in NBA history. In Game 6 of the 2013 Finals, the Spurs were up 5 points with just 20 seconds left, inches away from a title. But Greg Popovich subbed out Tim Duncan to prepare for Miami's three-point shooting. That decision led to 2 crucial offensive rebounds, and Ray Allen's iconic corner 3 forced overtime. The Spurs didn't just lose a game, they lost a championship that was already within reach. In the 2006-2007 season, Dirk Nowitzki led his team to a franchise-best 67-15 record and won MVP, only to be upset by the Warriors, coached by his former coach Don Nelson, in a historic number 8 over number 1 series. In the 1997-98 Finals, Game 6, the Jazz led by 1 point late and had possession. But Karl Malone was stripped by Michael Jordan at the elbow, and Jordan followed it with a game-winning jumper. That single moment cost the Jazz a chance at Game 7 and meant Malone and Stockton would retire without a championship. Success requires everything to go perfectly, while failure can come from one brief mistake. In school, textbooks teach us how to succeed, but sports teach us how to face failure. After the Thunder lost to the Heat in the finals, head coach Scott Brooks said this to his players near the end of the season. "It's disappointing that we didn't reach our goal this year. We still have a long way to go, but there's nothing here to hang your heads about. Keep your heads up and keep working, just like you always do. This summer, get stronger. That's the direction we're heading." One last thing, after the game, congratulate your opponents, shake their hands, and thank every one of them. They won it the right way. The year the Bucks won the title, Suns head coach Monty Williams went into the Bucks locker room to congratulate them. "As a coach, as a man, I just wanted to come in and say congratulations," he said. "And thank you for this experience. It made me a better coach and a better person. Congratulations." In 2021, the Warriors were eliminated by the Grizzlies in the play-in tournament. At the post-game press conference, Stephen Curry faced the loss head-on and delivered his now famous line, "Nobody wants to see us next year." The very next season, the Warriors got their revenge on Memphis in the playoffs and won the championship. Wins and losses in sports are just a condensed version of life's script. They don't teach us how to avoid failure, but how to stand back up with dignity, how to show grace in an opponent's moment of glory, and how to turn regret into fuel. Today's ending is often tomorrow's stronger beginning. Failure may close one chapter, but it's also the opening line of the next.